It's time for The Local with your host and realtor, Katie McKinney.
Hey guys, it's Katie, and today I want to talk a little bit about important money lessons you can teach your kids or yourself as a young business person. Especially during this time of the COVID-19, everybody's wondering, what am I supposed to be doing at home? Well, there's a lot of things that you can do at home, and one of them is educating yourself and or your kids, if you have them, young people that don't have kind of the knowledge of how money works. There are several different things that you can teach them during this time, instead of just watching TV, which is what I find myself doing sometimes in the evenings especially. You can educate yourself. So I took a lot of this from biggerpockets.com. If you don't, go on biggerpockets.com, you're missing out because they have so much information. Sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's very, very helpful. So I want to dive in real quick. I know, a lot of the students are doing distance learning, and I think that's excellent, but it is also a great time to learn a little bit about money lessons, which I'm sure the wonderful schools here are teaching. But here's a few just helpful tips and tricks. So firstly, how to start building credit. This is something that's super important, especially for first-time home buyers or people that maybe are just getting started in the process. This is a great time to figure out, what is credit? How do I build credit? How do I maintain credit? And how do I correct my credit? If you have bad credit, how do I correct that? So there are a lot of different aspects that go into your credit score. Whether it be the amount of debt that you have, how often you pay that debt off. There's a lot of different things that go into it. And a lot of times, what I have found in just the last, 3 years of doing real estate, especially being a young person doing real estate, there are many people that don't know. Some people say, no credit is better than bad credit. And, you hear a lot of lenders say that. I've heard a lot of lenders say that. But the nice thing is about having no credit is that you can always start. So a few things, that you can start with credit. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want a credit card. If you hear Dave Ramsey, love Dave Ramsey, but they say don't get a credit card. And that is all fine and dandy. But if you have zero credit, it is very, very difficult to get a loan. If not, it's just very difficult. I'm not going to say impossible. I'm not a lender, but it is very difficult. So a lot of times, whether it be no credit at all or bad credit, there are a lot of different steps that you can take. You can get with a credit repair person, a local lender. We've got a lot of fantastic local lenders here that will kind of look at your overall credit and maybe why it is negative or why you don't have any. Or even if you have some and it's okay, how do we improve that to get better interest rates and that sort of thing? But our lenders, especially our local lenders here, they do such a good job of laying it all out and saying, okay, we are here, we need to get here in order for you to make this first home purchase or a home purchase in general. These are the steps that you need to take in order to get there. So I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into the credit score and, different bureaus reporting on it. So it is good to talk with not only your kids about a few things that they can start doing and start practicing in order to get credit right off the bat, but also as young people, first-time home buyers, how to build that credit is very important. So feel free to reach out to a credit person specialist or a local lender, and they'd be happy to help you kind of show you those steps as to how you can get to your desired goal to get closer to not only home ownership, but just financial responsibility. So that is the first money lesson that you can teach your kids, or you can educate yourself as a young person, how to start building credit. The second is how to use a credit card. And I know people are like, this is crazy. I don't want a credit card. And I get that. Dave Ramsey would probably cut them with scissors, and that's okay. But if you do not have credit, or you have negative credit, sometimes you can get a credit card and or something with your name associated with a loan or whatever. And if you know how to use that credit card and use it effectively, it can help you in the long run to build good credit. I know that there are a few lenders here in Woodward area, greater Woodward area, that would say, get a credit card, pay it off every single month. But it's really important for kids and young people to know, terms like statement date, due date, credit limit, interest rate, fees associated with the credit card. Those are all the different terminology pieces that I feel like we could go over. We could be here forever going over those. But those are some of those important terminology, lessons there that you can teach somebody as they're learning what are these things, so that when they do go out and get a credit card, they know how to use it responsibly. So first one's how to start building credit. Second is how to use a credit card. There's a lot of different, I'm sure when you open your mail every month, a large majority of the advertisements and stuff that you get in the mail are credit card companies. They spend, I'm sure, billions and billions every single year, advertising that credit card. And there are so many people and so many, young people especially, that use those credit cards like that money that is being loaned is free, and that's not the case. So important lessons to learn there up front. The third is how to talk about money. So I know for every individual household, it's different, and money can be a touchy subject, especially, for privacy reasons, or, as parents, I'm sure you don't want to kind of share with your kids that, something isn't working out the way that you thought. But I always think it's interesting, growing up, I always knew, if someone was losing money, a parent, shout out to my parents, if somebody was losing money in a specific area, they would go and say, okay, we're losing money here. How do we resolve that? And how do we work through that? I think that's really important to have that conversation, because it's not all about making money. And a lot of kids and young people think, okay, we just have to make more money. But it is also being smart with that money that you are making, and being honest about it. It's nothing to be ashamed about if you lose money, but it's also a great thing to have if you are, spending wisely and doing those things. So I think talking with your kids, or talking to young people, or educating yourself as a young person is very important when talking about money. You need to be open and honest, but also it's not a negative thing. There's all many quotes about money, how it's very evil and negative. And yeah, there's a lot of evils out there in regards to money and the way people use money, but it also could be a good thing. It could help in the long run. If kids are able to start saving and learning about it and investing from early on, or young people as well, it's just going to help in the long run for some security. Maybe they won't have to go through some of the same struggles as other people, and when it comes to money. So I think it's good to have an open and honest conversation about money, and it should not always be just a scary, evil thing. It's good to talk about it, and especially good to talk about it. They'll be happy that you talked about it with them when they're able to, buy some of those bigger items that they've been saving up for, such as a home or a, vehicle or whatever it might be. So the fourth item here, important lesson that you can teach your kids or young people, or as a young person, educate yourself, how to pay your bills. This one's huge. I remember, again, as a child, my parents would say, okay, well, you want this, you're going to have to pay this much, you're going to have to save this much. And in the same way, insurance and taxes and, your gas and water and electricity bill. those are all things that you can teach kids and young people, can educate you. And sometimes it's by, just living life. I know when I rented my first apartment, that lesson was a little bit difficult. You keep your lights on all the time. You keep the electricity, the AC on at, 60 degrees. Your bill is going to be high. How do we pay those bills? But also, how are we responsible? How do we become responsible with those bills? So that's something you can teach right now, especially. We have budget. Here's the budget. This utility bill is going to be X amount. How do we not only pay it, but how do we budget for next month as well? How do we stay on budget? So how to pay bills is very, very important. It's something that everybody's going to have to do. Everybody does at some point, and a very important aspect to your daily life. Another one is how to learn. So most people ask me, well, how did you learn how to become a real estate agent? How did you learn about rental property investing? Those different things. I want to say I learn, I kind of thrive off learning and education. So I look into like this biggerpockets.com, mentors that you might have, lenders that you have good relationships with, your parents, if you are, have questions, they have some experience, obviously. And different people, all of those different people can help you, and more people can help you learn how to, use money as a tool, not as a negative thing, because it can be that way. So I would say Bigger Pockets. There's a lot of different podcasts out there that are geared towards money and investing and being financially responsible. I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan, so he has a fantastic company there. I would say that's a good one to check out. But I can give you more resources as well if you have any questions, and more, books or different resources there. So just let me know if you need more on that. Lastly, I think it's important, a really important lesson, money lesson that you can teach young people, and that's how to save and invest. It's great to make the money. And that's a lot of times that's the hardest part, but it's also very hard to save that money and invest it in the right things. I know a lot of young people come up to me and say, well, how do I get started as a investor buying rental property? And I say, well, that's kind of a loaded question, because if you make $30,000 a year, you're not going to want to buy 4 or 5 rental properties just right off the bat. And I know that's going into the numbers and that sort of thing, but you've got to really look at the big picture. And it kind of starts with that first education about how to save and invest. It doesn't all happen at one time, and that's okay. It's not really meant to happen at one time. For some people it does, but very, very few. Teaching your kids and other young people that, it is okay to save before making that first step. You're going to be more prepared. You may be more educated at that point, and it's okay to do that. I think that once you have saved up, you definitely can invest. And, right now, especially with the coronavirus and the different markets that are going on, some people are getting some really good buys. I would say to young people, don't be overly eager about that opportunity. Yes, it's a great time to invest, as it was, even a couple of months ago and a couple of years ago. It's good time to invest now, yes, but don't be overly eager if you haven't saved up your money, and know when to make that move. So I think it's always good. Patience is a virtue, they say, and I think that's especially true with money. I know my stepdad always said, Kevin, he always said, if you don't have it, don't make that first step yet. Wait, be patient, and then follow through. So that's something I was taught as a kid. I think that's something that parents can teach their kids, even at a really early age, that, money is not necessarily a bad thing. Most of the time, it can be used as a tool to get to financial freedom, or, more vacation, or more time with family, whatever it might be. I think it could be used as the tool. So, that's just, I know that money right now is kind of it's a crazy time in our economy and our lives. And I know for me as well, with the coronavirus going around, a lot of uncertainty. But I thought, at this time, instead of just being at home, lounging on the couch, watching your favorite TV show, this is a great time to also educate yourself and figure out what you can do to either teach your kids or young people, or if you are a young person, even if you're not a young person, how can you educate yourself during this time that will help you in the long run? So I hope to do more, podcasts like this talking about overarching themes, not necessarily just with real estate. That's what we want to do, is just try to help people and give some helpful ideas. So if you have any suggestions on future podcasts, kind of what you want to hear in regards to this, we are going to have a few financial advisors, investors, and that sort of thing on in the next couple of weeks. So be looking out for those, and I'll be seeing you guys soon.